report to justify and prove why this is a very good deal. Who delivered that report and when did they deliver it? And how did they deliver it? There's a reason why I'm asking that question.
Yes, do you want to assist me on this? But the more I think about the 30 days, I think they took so long if we really needed an airport. If you receive that today, it would be out of...
I'm looking at the... documents you gave me. Which you are the one who gave me the documents.
Which point of order, Chair? I think the CS... talking to some nursery school kids. Respect our intelligence and address us as adults and address us.
Directed to you, just be direct to the point
and
to
simple.
Avoid, you know, and answer if you know the answering, you know, invoking some of the standing orders like Standing Order 105, which is a statement of facts whenever we are interacting with this department or with this issue. So let's restrain ourselves to the issue at hand, which brought us to this committee.
Chair,
by so doing, we'll be able to get answers. And that's why if initially when we started, remember we're giving every senator about 3 minutes so that you ask your questions and you get a response. So the moment you bring this kind of interaction, you will have point of orders and we might lose the points that you want to execute.
I actually nearly want to agree with you, but let me tell you why I'm cross-examining the CS.
No, proceed with the reason.
Just allow me. There's a very good reason I want to do that.
Chair, with the permission of Senator Onyonka, you know, yesterday I said something about CS Chirchir. He's one of the few people out of my interactions with cabinet secretaries, and you know I have a very low opinion of the cabinet, but he's one of the few who is usually very forthright. So, Honorable CS, I am. You remember I owe you something. Congratulations. Please don't get derailed. I need you to be the same forthright person. If something is wrong, Honorable CS, the CS that I know, will say it is wrong. And it was not throw people under the bus if you must, but you must retain.
Maybe Senator Onyonka is scaring him.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Chair. He's my former year mate in the university. We love each other. We've spent quite a bit of time together. Yes. I'm just trying to make sure we get the truth about this. The next question I want to ask, actually, Chair, through you, is not to the CS. I want to ask the gentleman who has been acting. And you said your name is who?
Henry Ogoe.
How long have you been at the airport?
Since 2006.
Since 2006. Please allow me to interrogate this. Chair, I would like to present this document to you because it's a public document. That is the report that was done by Honorable Kosing under the Hansard, and that report, very, very fortunately, Chair, our Deputy Chair was in Honorable Gachagua was in that committee, and the other person who was in that committee was Honorable the Solicitor General, Mr. Mose, Shadrach Mose. Why do you think the report which came 2018, and it was saying that we cannot give our airport under the PPP arrangement, why did the committee make recommendations that that should be stopped? And when did the government change the policy? The same question that Honorable Sifuna is asking, for us not doing competitive bidding to do our airport, and decided that we are now going to give this to Adani because you are there.
And as you answer that, clarify, because you have said you have been there since 2006, and at what capacity or which capacity have you been since 2006?
Through my CS, thank you. I joined the airport authority from Kenya Electric Generating Company in 2006. And up to the time I took over as the acting CEO, I was the one in charge of strategy in the authority. Yeah, from
Through chair,
2006.
which means he knows everything that has been happening from the last 10 years.
So in terms of what Senator Nyonka is asking is that I do remember that Kenya Airways had at one time wanted to take over the airport. And one thing which should be very clear to the committee here is that running an airline business is quite different from running an airport. It is just like the way judges and advocates meet
Point
in
of order,
court.
Chair. Point of order, Chair.
Yeah, I think it's
Ethiopia
better we
Airlines.
let
Yeah, but Ethiopia Airlines are
be-
running Bole Airport.
before
Absolutely.
let's every member execute their point. You cannot inject on every syllable. You know, let them finish their statement.
So what happened was that when Kenya Airways made a proposal to take over Jkia to run, even the capital expenditure was even not clear what they were going to do. The interest was not the fact that they wanted to invest in it, but the interest was on some other things. Having gone through the entire process, memoranda were submitted, it was decided that it was not the wisest move to do.
Thank you, Chair. So,
Just on a point of order, allow me on that particular point, because Senator Nyonga has asked a very, very important question and has submitted findings of this parliament. The airport is governed under the Kenya Airports Act, which was established in 1991. And if you read that act clearly, it talks about the objective of that act, and it talks about the roles of the KAA. The PS, when asked the question whether Adani is going to be taking over the entire operation, said yes, or he answered to the affirmative. Now, does it mean that we are now going to use a PPP to amend an act of parliament by giving away? And it is very, very clear. It actually says to operate, KA is a state-owned enterprise established in 1991 under the Kenya Airports Authority Act, Chapter 395 of the laws of Kenya. And the role is to manage, operate civil airports, airstrip across Kenya. So are you telling me you're now, first of all, going to amend that act so that you exclude JKIA so that you can be able to send it out to run it differently?
Honorable Chair, there are various ways of running our business. There are businesses we can run directly. There are businesses which we run through the support of the private sector. Like we run a number of concessions across the network. What we've run into is the fact that we don't have the financial muscle to expand the infrastructure at JKIA. The infrastructure is 10 years behind. If we look at our balance sheet, we are not able to address that infrastructure deficit. And that's why it came to us that can we invoke the PPP Act 2021 to address that deficit. The fact that we are going to concession part of the airport for purposes of aeronautical facilities. When I talk of aeronautical, I mean the airside, things to do with the runway, the parking bays, the terminal building. It don't mean that we are going to vacate our responsibility. In any case, there is no operator which will operate at the airport without being supervised by Kenya Airports Authority.
Chair, could I proceed, please?
How many minutes do you need? Because I think you have 5 more minutes.
That's right. I'll rush through it so long as nobody stops me.
Okay.
And Mr.
You are
Ogoye,
protected.
you have been in civil aviation for how long? Through you, Chair.
For 19 years.
Thank you. When you were negotiating with Adani, you understand how the Kenyan civil aviation infrastructure is set up vis-a-vis the private civil aspects of our aviation and the military aspect of aviation. Did you decide or even think of negotiating with Adani what they are going to do with our military presence? Because we use the radar at the airport is used by our military and also by civil aviation.
Honorable Chair, within the agreement, we have something called common services.
Wait, an agreement with who?
No. we've already shared with you the heads of terms.
Yes,
Heads of terms is a summary of negotiation items.
yes.
Within that set of terms, there are certain common use services which have been identified. And even the fact that
I want to help you. Have you ever seen any country in the world that gives its civil or military aviation responsibility to a private company to run?
you see, Adani, when any concessionaire who is coming to operate the airport will confine itself to the commercial side of the airspace.
Through you, Chair, how would they do it unless the military is bought its own radar?
I think if you are aware, the way the airport, the civil aviation is structured in the country, Kenya Civil Aviation Authority is in charge of the airspace management, and any airport operator must comply with the requirements of Kenya Civil Aviation Authority. Just like Kenya Airports Authority complies, any concessionaire who comes on board must also salute that regulation in terms of responsibility with respect to the usage of the airspace.
So through you, Chair, what you are actually telling me is that yes, all the air traffic controllers that we have in the Republic of Kenya would not be interfered with by Adani.
I can confirm.
Where is that agreement?
It is hosted by Kenya Civil Aviation Authority because.
Would you be candid enough and agree to table it when we are meeting here next?
I would suggest, in the interest of separation of responsibility, that you direct the PS, our PS, to invite the DG or KCA to come and confirm that.
Whether you want the PS to bring it or the CS, my argument, I'm saying that agreement was not delivered to us, and I would like to be presented.
Because it was not.
The next thing I want to raise, Chair, is asking my brother, the CS. There is an amount that is supposed.
The concession fee that is being negotiated right now stands at $50 million to be paid by the proponent. Adani.
And if you don't, that is not true. So I'll ask my colleague to present that information. We are the ones who are actually supposed to pay that amount of money in case we don't oblige to agreement, particularly if that agreement has been signed. So I want to raise the issue. Go to page 38, section 7.4, preliminary financial proposal.
This is the money Adani wants to be paid.
Yes.
If we cannot raise this money, we have to pay.
Thank you. It says.
Are we discussing the proposal or the agreement?
It's on the report.
No. What I'm trying to say
is the proposal that Adani is presenting to Kenya.
Which the country, as per the CS,
Yes.
had said, they have not gone to the point of the agreement.
No,
So
but
are we
it's good
just
for
discussing
Kenyans.
the
It's good
draft
for,
proposal?
Chair, it's good for Kenyans to know what we're getting into. That is it.
Continue.
Yeah,
Continue.
let's see the baby. Let's see how they've dressed up this baby. As indicated on table 8 below, we are proposing a fixed concession to be updated post feasibility study. So it could go to $100 million US. Some of the assumptions in competitive assessment of Jkia is historical and current error charges. I
was asking,
yes.
Senator, so that we don't be seen to be discussing a document that is a proposal, as the CS has said, that they
Chair, this is what he tabled.
No. Just
this is what
let me come out clear. Yeah, let me come out clear, because you see, a proposal just is a draft. That's what we want to understand, and then if you can just listen to me. me. And that's why, because we don't want to take the committee's time to discuss a document that what would I want us to.
DSG, family clothing and gear priced to win, only at Dick's.
Running a small biz takes grit and hustle, but you don't have to do it alone. The UPS store has your back with packing, shipping, shredding, and more. We're your one-stop shop for small biz success. Come into your local store today. The UPS store. Be unstoppable.
Be proper to take Kenyans through a document that is already nowhere.
Absolutely, Chair. Through you, let me ask you,
Chair,
Chair,
point
when
of
you
order.
wanted to marry somebody, wouldn't you want them to tell you what kind of wedding they want to hold?
Just 1 minute.
It's okay.
Senator
That
Onyonga.
would determine your judgment.
No.
This with a lot of humility, Chair. Don't keep for them.
I'm
Let
not
them
getting.
answer.
I'm just.
Chair,
I'm just
this
correcting the
is
time.
their document.
Can I help, Chair?
Yes.
Senator
This is
Onyonga,
their
just-
document.
Just 1 minute, Chair.
Yes, Fona.
You see, the senator is reading from the Adani proposal. Perhaps what you could direct that the CS responds to, just like we dealt with, you remember when I read the original proposal from Adani saying the runway is not a priority, they would have to evaluate traffic and see if it is necessary. So the ministry should tell us this proposal on a fixed concession fee, how have they treated it? Because it's a proposal, it's not a draft. This is a proposal that was received from Adani. During the ministry okay treated this proposal. That's all they need to say.
And I believe there's no argument. There's no. There's no
Chair,
proposal. So
that-
do you want us to spend time?
allow me to guide you. The other
Okay,
proposal.
explain that
And you
very
know,
briefly.
Chair,
I think
CS.
it's fairly straightforward. If you refer to page 24 of the heads of terms, which 12.4, which basically defines the concession fee and where the head of page 20.
Through you, Chair,
Yeah, proceed.
I would like to state that a permanent concession means that in case we sign this agreement and Adani does not make any money whatsoever, or if anything goes wrong, then we will have to pay that money depending on what it is on a yearly basis, whether they make a profit or not. Mr. Goya, am I right or have misinterpreted this agreement?
Okay, Honorable Chair. As you may be aware, we run a network of 22 airports. Among them, Jkia is the major operator. When we are concessioning out Jkia, the other airports have to operate. And to meet that requirement, we need a concession fee from the concessionaire. When they submitted the proposal, they made a proposal that they will be paying KA on annual basis $47 million to take care of other requirements. In the negotiation, we negotiated up to what, $50 million, and it is resident in the heads of terms item 2.4, which my honorable CS has referred to, 12.4.
So, Chair, and you are comfortable with that figure?
We are comfortable with this figure because what this figure is supposed to do is to help us repay the outstanding loans, run the operations of the other facilities, over and above the revenues which are being generated.
Why was the loans which we have not included in the list that you on that concessionaire clause? Because we know what the airport owes.
What we've done is that this.
Just hold on before I finish through you, Chair. And if the airport reached a stage and their debts were paid, who would be receiving that money?
This money will continue to be received by KA because KA is also.
I told you that there is a section of this agreement where actually at some point KA is going to have to relinquish the responsibility of running that airport.
No.
Which you agreed to.
Honorable Chair, there is no day KA will vacate the management of Jkia.
Okay, thank you, Chair. Now, the next question I want to ask, Chair, because I don't have a lot of time.
2 minutes. The MD an opportunity to answer you.
Yeah, these are yes on. When you see somebody's lying,
you know, yes
they will
or
start
no
telling
is
you a story.
mathematical. I mean,
I just want him to say yes.
give him.
We did tendering.
That's the way
and
I've given
recruited,
you an
or we didn't.
opportunity to ask question. Give them a chance to answer a question.
Honorable Senator, we want you to inform the public, and therefore we want to give you the right information to inform the public. What happened was that way back in 2022, ALG did the National Aviation Policy and Medium-Term Investment Plan for the government of Kenya under the directorship of the PPP Directorate. Because the report was high level, we wanted to have a detailed feasibility study. So we wrote on their institution of memory and the fact that they had data. So we recruited them directly to do for us the feasibility study.
Chair, help me.
You got your answer. They recruited directly. Next question.
You did direct procurement for a company that is going to do an evaluation and giving an history, and that is going to tell us the valuation of our asset, and you didn't follow the law. Right?
But we saluted the law to the letter.
You didn't follow the law. So I come to the next question, Chair. There's a reason why I asked that question. When you decided that you are now going to actually bring in Adani and they are supposed to be running our airports and there are other things that they are going to do, at what stage do you feel that when you are allowing Adani to come into the airport and when you've brought in AIG to come in and these discussions are going on, did you feel there was a necessity for you to start engaging the stakeholders, particularly the workers of the airport and including the business interests and the people who are running the businesses at the airport? Did you conduct feasibility studies before you and Adani could sit down so that you get the direction the public is thinking, or did you decide that the public was not needed in making that decision?
Honorable Chair, as I mentioned earlier, ALG did for us a feasibility study upon which we got the numbers now to engage. Now, in terms of engaging the workers and the other stakeholders of the airport, we were not in a position where we had the concretized information which we could now discuss with the concerned stakeholders. And that's why we waited for the heads of terms to be ready, things cleared, so that we have something which we can discuss, which we can share with the concerned stakeholders. I submit, Chair.
So through you, Chair, there was no need to call these people. After all, as far as I'm concerned, AIG is basically an illegal entity that has been conducting exercises without authority. So I will come to the next question very quickly, Chair. Company that gave a proposal for them to also come the PPP exercise. The answer I'm going to ask you my leader, is very simple. Did you receive any report from any other company?
The only PIP we received was from Adani. Airport Holdings, but not from any other party. PIP.
Through you, Chair, did you find that normal?
There's nothing which has been given to Adani, and that's why we've subjected it to the due process. And within that due process, if things turn out to be that we can't sign a deal, then it will be it. So it is not something which is concluded.
So through you, Chair, when you then brought in Adani and you started engaging with them, lately we have seen certain individuals who presumably are Adani Group and who presumably are being protected by security agents around the airport at night. Why do you carry police officers? What is so complex with you as an MD that you lock yourself in the office until police officers pick you from there?
Chair, police officers have never picked me from the office. Yes, I work freely. But let me put it this way. Adani has to do due diligence for them to check if the capital expenditure which they want to put in is realistic. Even Kenya Airports Authority has proceeded to do due diligence to check if Adani is the party to deal with. And it is at the conclusion of this that a decision will be made whether it is a proposal worth carrying forward or it can be put in the cells.
One minute, Senator.
You, Chair,
Conclude.
you just give me 2 minutes. Last question, second last question. Rwanda Air, Ethiopian Airlines have linked up with the Emirates and they are proceeded and they are going to receive a brand new airport and they're also receiving about $60 aeroplanes from the Qataris. What is it that Adani is giving you? They're not building. It's like one of these scandals that we lack manufacturing in Kenya for us to siphon off funds because these things. Could I be wrong if I assume that this is one of the biggest con jobs that the Kenyan public has ever witnessed?
Chair, as the accounting officer, we are dealing with the documents which have been brought to us, subjecting them to the due process and making a determination within the law. The arrangement in Rwanda is based on joint ventureship. I don't know the one in Ethiopia. But at the end of it,
And you tell your grandchildren that it's the best you could have done.
This is very useful engagement, Chair. And what we've been able to do today to answer that question directly is to doing the due diligence. And a lot of questions that are being asked today are relevant questions that we need to put on the table and get satisfactory answers on behalf of the people of Kenya, come to Parliament, go through the due process. And therefore, even as we do the due diligence on this investor, they are not bringing some little money to Kenya to invest. They will do due diligence on us. And where this deal, as we go through the due diligence and the stakeholder engagement, is not find it not fit for them as they do the due diligence on us. So in line with the law, the PPP Act, which we have spent so much time indicating have this engagement that we have not had before, unfortunately, to be able to bring everybody to speed, bring Kenyan to speed, and ensure that we do go through every stage and satisfy ourselves to the extent that the executed everybody, and that's why it will go to the AG for legal opinion. It will go to the portfolio of oversighting, and will be available to provide any information at any time as we go through the due process. Chair, thank you.
Thank you very much. I think,
Chair, I would like to conclude in just 30 seconds. Closing remarks.
closing remarks.
Thank
So
you.
Use your closing remarks, yes.
CS, I have a message for you. Because you've been my friend for many, I think 35 years. I have high regard for you. You know, notice I've never had issues with you. Please tell the president this is a bad deal. He can reconfigure it. He can get a better company which has got respect, which is respected globally. If he can't get Emirates or Qatari, he can get Etihad. We understand that they are bilaterals. We understand, you know, I worked in foreign affairs. We know that there are certain arrangements and agreements the president can sign to benefit the country. Please tell him this thing is a stinker. Let's do it within the law. Kenyans are really upset with what is going on right now. And please, whatever you saw happening at that airport, don't take it for granted. Those people are very, very upset. Their lives are in jeopardy. You're talking about 5,000, 6,000 people. Nobody knows what this agreement is. Simplify it. Bring it to this committee. Give them a program. Tell them, look at this agreement. This is what we are looking at. Who would say no? If you come and tell me, like Rwanda, we have resuscitated KQ with 50 or 60 aeroplanes. We have paid the debt that KQ has. You are going to pay our workers who are destitute in that airline, and you are setting up Nairobi to be a hub. Which airline are you going to use to build the numbers that you want? We don't have an airline. You haven't solved the KQ problem. I beg you that this is a matter that Kenyans have taken very seriously. And thank you, sir, for listening to us.
Thank you very much. Let me have Senator Sifuna as a member
Thank
of
you,
the
Chair.
committee. Yes.
In closing, Honorable CS Chirchir, I'm sure by now you know that the problem with the government in which you serve is not a communication problem. It is a credibility problem. Nobody trusts this government. And even with your best intentions, you have to work to restore the credibility of the government and public trust in the government that you serve in. Number two, if you can see, the reason why there's a trust deficit is not an accident. Your own minutes from KA, as we have been taken through here, have identified the fact that there are many competing interests, and they have to be vendor-driven interests within government. So Kenyans have every right, Honorable Chair, to be suspicious of this deal. Thirdly, Honorable CS, let me disabuse you of this notion that there are stakeholders in JKIA or in our airports distinct from the people of Kenya. The stakeholders in JKIA are the 55 million of us. You cannot have a small meeting somewhere in a corner, then claim that you have had conversations with stakeholders. Stakeholders in this particular case are the 55 million Kenyans. And the fact that there was lack of disclosure, and I think the committee will be making a recommendation that we make an amendment to the law on PPP. Immediately somebody arrives at your office, Honorable CS, with a so-called privately initiated proposal. Within 48 hours, you must disclose that that email has come to your email account. Otherwise, you are not going to be able to move forward with this. There are serious integrity concerns with the company itself, and of course, with the government that is proposing to go ahead with this particular project. Honorable CS, you know what happened to the finance bill. you know the sort of furor that it brought about. I can compare the objections to the Adani deal to that where we were with the finance bill. At this particular moment in time, even with your best efforts, and I know you are a very, what is the word? Yes, you are somebody who puts in effort. But I can assure you, CS, it doesn't matter how you explain this deal. The people's mind is made up on Adani. Please abandon this deal. We will lose nothing. Go back to the position that had been taken by cabinet, as expressed by the then Transport CS Murkomen when he appeared before the Senate, that we will put out an international expression of interest. Let this process be above board in the development and upgrade of Jkia. This PIP model is not going to be available for the government of Kenya. Put it out there in the public. Let people apply. Let the process be open. Let everybody see what proposals are coming from where. I do not agree that they are not many people who want to invest in this country. The reason why people are afraid to invest in this is because of these games and shenanigans that we are playing within our own governments and systems. We are the hosts of Jkia, all of us are stakeholders, but the people of Nairobi have told me to say no to this deal. Therefore, I want to urge you very strongly, cancel this thing. You will not, even with your best efforts, be able to convince anyone in Kenya today that this is a deal that is above board. Let us go back to public procurement when it comes to this particular deal. I thank you, Honorable Chair.
Thank you very much, Senator Sifuna. Senator Ledamo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My friend, CS Davis Chirchir, you should be in the front line rejecting this deal. Even if it has some deal makers over a barrel, being forced to do things whether they like it or not. We live in Kenya, and Kenya is a country where people are given incentives to be able to champion certain things which even if they know they are not good. And that's what I mean being over a barrel. We have screwed up our constitution. We have messed up our legislations. We amended the Public Finance Act and made it easy for brokers to be able to come in and lobby for certain projects. This deal stinks. I want to plead with you to abandon it. If you look at the proposed capex investments, it goes in stages, We're a country, we're an industrious nation. I suppose we can definitely raise $99 million to be able to put up a runway. We can be able to raise $624 million to be able to put up a terminal. And if there's any airstrip for $92 million, we can actually be able to do that. I know right now, I've just received a text message from a very good friend, an international deal maker. And he said, Adani is pissed off. And his message to me was like, Senator, be careful. Adani is pissed off. We do not want to be held hostage. This is a country that we fight so hard for. This is a country that we expect to leave it for the future generation. And I plead with you, as someone who I know is forthright, if Kenyans don't like it, leave it. Let's leave it. You know, O.J. Simpson, the lawyer in O.J. Simpson trial once said, if the gloves don't fit, you must acquit. So in this case, Kenyans all over have said, we do not give a hoot in hell about this deal. Leave it. Leave it. I know for a fact that when people get into government, they line their pockets. If you consider their wealth this year and next year, you will know that it is because of incentive. That's why their wealth has grown. This is a country that has got all instruments, and it's got all the operators to be able to carry out that serious due diligence. The Gen Zs have sent a very strong message. We don't want June 25th to be able to revisit us again. We have to learn. And that is the reason why, even if I'm not a member of this committee, I was in this committee today. Because this deal stinks like hell. So I request you to abandon it. Let us go gradually, slowly by slowly. If once we do, analysis and we look at our hierarchy of needs, we see that what we really require right now is what do you call it? Not an airport, but a runway. I'm pretty sure even if we cannot afford, and even if we are not magnanimous enough to give money, we can offer an instructional bond, and people will gladly invest in it. So, Mr. Chairman, I thank you.
Thank you very much, Senator Ladama. Vice Chair,
I'm here. I would like to. I'm here.
let's have the Vice Chair.
Let the chair to speak after me.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. It's okay.
It's fine.
It's okay. It's okay. Thank you, Chair. Chair, let me say, just like the rest of my colleagues, that the verdict of Kenyans on the Adani deal is that there is no deal and there should be no deal. And we are privileged to be here, Mr. CS, to deliver the message to you according to the wishes of Kenyans. It will be incumbent upon you to either respond in the affirmative or otherwise, but choices have consequences. Thank you.
Senator Omtata.
Yes, Honorable CJ. Yes. So I'll take you to Section 40, Clause 3, and I would ask the committee that before you retreat to write your report, the Cabinet Secretary should comply with the Section 40, Clause 3, Paragraph J, and produce justification why this project is not suitable for open competitive procurement. Cabinet Secretary, please provide that justification which the law requires as a precondition for going into a PPP. Honorable CS, I also refer to at Section 40, Clause 1 of the Act. It requires you to establish an evaluation criteria for the proposal. I would also request that this committee be served with the evaluation criteria which was established to deal with this proposal. I'll also go to take you back to Section 4, which you quoted as a justification for not complying with the Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Act. That section is very clear that that act applies if there is counterpart funding. And I would ask that you clarify to the committee if the government of Kenya is providing any funding, and what is the status of the government of Kenya entering into direct and substitution agreements with the lenders. I would also persuade of listening to the CS. His argument is that the end justifies the means. And I would like to tell the CS that in Kenya, the end does not justify the means. There's due process, there's rule of law. You must pursue them because even the Auditor General, under Article 229, Clause 6, audits government entities for lawfulness first, then effectiveness second. So as for the reference you keep on making, there was a desktop evaluation. The law does not require superficial evaluation. And there's no provision in the law for evaluation twice. The evaluation is done once, it is thorough and complete. So I would request that the committee be supplied with that evaluation report. These things of reference to the desktop and whatever is nowhere in the law. If there's an evaluation, It's an evaluation that was well done, that's comprehensive and complete. Let us have that evaluation report supplied to the committee. And then finally, as regards to your continuous plea to necessity, it is necessary, it is necessary. I want to give you a quote of what was said.
This guy teaches people how to make their first investment in real estate without risking any of their own money. His name is Pace Morby, and he's one of the top real estate investors in the US. He's so good that he has his own AETV show, a crazy popular
Prime Minister of Britain twice. He said, necessity is the plea for every infringement of human freedom. It is the argument of tyrants. It is the creed of slaves. In Kenya, we have a democratic government. We don't allow tyrants. And we are citizens. We are not slaves. So please observe the law. There's no option for this government but to observe the law. And what you have presented before us is an attempt not to overthrow the lawful dispensation of this country. You are going against the constitution. You are going against the laws of this country. And even your 20 points that you are giving here in your return is cherry picking. You have chosen those parts that in the law that seem to justify what you have done and given them as 20 steps. I would urge this committee to reject these 20 steps as being a corruption of the law and an attempt to mislead this committee, and demand that the minister complies 100% with the law. And finally, Chairman, I pray that the committee summons the CS for Finance, who is the custodian of this act, so that we can give him appropriate questions. I'm not a member of this committee, but given the enormity of the issue that was before this committee, I've left everything that I was doing to be able to be here. And I would love to meet the Minister for Finance because I've got issues with the way these things have done, and I'm very, very clear in my mind that CS for Transport does not have the standing or the capacity to answer those questions lawfully so that they can go on record lawfully. He's a stranger to the exercise. I fully appreciate the decision of the committee to apply to invite him as maybe in charge of transport, but he is not the custodian of the PPP Act. We would like the custodian of the PPP Act to appear before this committee so that we can give him the heavy lifting we want to do with him as regards the Adani scam. Thank you, Chair, for the opportunity.
Thank you very much. I think before I make my closing remarks, we have Senator Chirchir.
Thank you, Chair. Mine, CS is use this platform. In my opening remarks, I said there is a viral young man who is viral in Facebook saying, airport imeuzwa kwa muhindi. Can you just, the takeoff has encountered turbulence, just about the takeoff, Bwana CS, by ensuring that end these negotiations. This thing is becoming ugly, it's becoming chaotic. Just tell the country that there is no deal, there is no negotiations, and we are not objecting the building of new airport or improvement of other airports and airstrips across the country. Finally, Chair, the information I have, in fact, the United States of America government is in confidence that if Adani does the takeover of Jkia, we might lose even our flights direct to New York, Chair, that is normally scheduled per week, and this will hinder our standing among the international communities. So as you go back, Bwana CS, you are not there. This is not your baby. This looks like, and it is corruption that it needs to be stopped. Allow Adani to do other airports in other parts. He's not the only one in the world that he can do that, Chair. Let us get a new investor, and we are not objecting to the airport being constructed. Let it come clear from this meeting. We want a new airport, but we want the due process of the law to be followed. It is as simple, and value for money, lawfulness and effectiveness, Bwana CS. And even as Kenyans today, I quoted Abraham Lincoln. He says the government is for the people and by the people. Give Kenyans what they want. Just use this platform, courtesy of the chair, call off the deal. Let's go back, chair, because if they say in conclusion, chair, if it looks like a duck and sounds like a duck and quacks like a duck, it could be a real ugly swan of corruption. Let the Adani be called off. This deal call off today. Let's begin from a fresh slate, because Kenyans, even from Nandi County where I come from, they don't want this deal. Not because we have an airport next to us, but because it is the national strategic security infrastructure and we cannot risk. Chair, with those many remarks, I thank you, and I hope when the CS of National Treasury will appear and the DG, in fact, Chair, under Powers and Privileges Act, as you rule on the DG of PPP, he should be summoned and fined and frog-marched by Inspector General of Police to appear before this committee, because this is the contempt of your committee. This committee has quasi-judicial mechanisms of the High Court. With those, thank you, Chair, for having us who are friends of the committee and giving us. Chair, some of us, if we don't speak to some of these issues, we cannot sleep because Kenyans keep calling us throughout the night. But see, le kuzalamiwa agency, but in good faith, they really want to know. Chair Waziri, and as you go back, please, in future, if you have such enormity infrastructure project, kindly give us information early enough so that we don't deal with disinformation, misinformation, and fake news in some of these issues. We wish you well, and we hope you will do better than the former incompetent colleague, because alikuwa anapenda mchezo, tukapeleka yeye kwa mchezo. Asante sana. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Senator Cherargei. Bwana Waziri, you have heard from the members. Members of this committee, friends of this committee, but all members of the Senate of the Republic of Kenya. Mine, as I conclude, so that I can give you a minute so that you can also give your commitment, is to tell you that we didn't have to get where we are. If probably there was no whistleblower, maybe we'll be discussing something different. So, and it has been said here in this committee, make sure the young boy is protected and make sure that no one is doing any harm to the young man who whistleblew this one. And Bwana CS, what has come out here, if there was proper communication, and I repeat that again and again, we wouldn't be here. Kenyans would be with you, because no Kenyan is against the PPP. No Kenyan is against the BOT. No Kenyan is against any investor in this country. The problem is not the deal. The problem is the wheeler dealers, as I had said earlier. So, Bwana Waziri, carry the people with you in these processes, because we are a country that is led by the rule of law. Carry the people with you. When they say stop, you stop. Because if you run, you will find them at the finishing line. So, as we retreat as the committee to write a report, there are things that we will be internalizing. We will require more documentation. We will even require more input from the people. Because as it has been said in section 43J, that there must be a justification why we cannot do this deal competitively. We will be looking into issues like, do we resolve as the committee or the Senate that you re-advertise and invite other proposals? That is something that we'll be pondering. Will we say no Adani in this country? Those are things as a Senate we'll be looking into. Will we even decide if the deal is that? Because you said, Bwana Waziri, in your submission on question 1, no concession agreement exists. And you also said, if we were to close this deal, not close, if we were to do away with this deal, Kenya will not lose any money. All right? At least we are happy to hear that. So probably as we go along in retiring and writing this report, we'll be looking at that issue. Also, Bana CS, on step 17, that is when the concession agreement is signed and a copy sent to the AG for his records. We'll also be looking into that issue in the sense that whether we get to that, because you never know, I just don't want to anticipate. We might get there, we don't know. But whether we will be requesting before the signing is done, that document is made public. So I believe that those are some of the issues that we'll be looking into. We'll also been requested to summon the CS Treasury. I would want to see him and to appear before this committee. So those are some of the things we are going to be looking into, and especially the DG, Directorate of PPPs. So having said that, let's all remind ourselves that we are working for the people of Kenya. It's going to go down in history that I was the chairman when the Adani deal went through. Would I want that? You will be the CS, will be down in history, the PS, and also the DG, KAA, the CEO KAA, and the Senate of today. So I believe we are doing this for the betterment or for the sake of our country. So, and I also ask people, we should not just rush to be the fake news peddlers, as well as the disinformation agents. Let's all of us work together to understand what is this thing for our country. Then from there, we move together as a team. So thank you very much, Bana CS, for coming. It's now, what time is it now? Because it's almost 2. It's almost 2 p.m. and you came here at 9 a.m. You were here yesterday. You committed yourself to be here. And I want to join other senators. Nobody has lost hope with you, Bana CS. Everybody is actually saying they see you, they think of you, they want you. So please, in your dealings with this deal, do not at any time disappoint Kenyans. So we give you 1 minute or 2 to also give your commitment. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair, for guiding. I want to confirm, like Nairobi Senator is not in, did say, we probably have a communication, maybe a credibility problem, and we do not want to get international investors digging down into the credibility of the country where we start a process and we drop it halfway. We will allow us, like you have guided, to follow the law, to be available to Parliament, to basically carry everybody along. Like I did indicate earlier, we've given these documents to the union because the way PPP has not been employed to procure the small procurements that government affords every day, it is not a very usual procurement that succeeds. And we are all frustrated with the PPP Act in that nothing almost seems to go through the PPP process. And therefore, that is why we are not able to implement the big infrastructural projects which government cannot afford. So as to whether we need to relook at the PPP Act to make it work the way the PPD, the Public Procurement and Disposal Act works, is something that we need to look at. As regarding the concern of public participation, you do know, honorable members, that we've come to the House to seek all of us to redefine the scope of public participation, because you also don't want, when you pass a bill into law, Finance Act 2023, you are told you didn't do enough public participation. What is enough public participation? Because it's a democratic space, and whereas 40 million Kenyans could say we think we are happy, and 10 million says we didn't, it becomes a challenge to be able to move the country forward. And we'll appreciate if that public participation bill within the House, which is currently the House, could be expedited, so that even when we say, you can see one member say, when you receive a PPP, give it to us within 48 hours. We gave it out within 30 days, and it seemed like it was rushed. And therefore, it is really important to define some of these processes and see, particularly at this stage in time, how PPP can work for us as an anchor state so that we do have an infrastructure that can support the region. I have had the members, we will follow the law, we will observe the law, we will do the right thing by ensuring that if you submit the kind of representations that we have seen here today, and it helps us to have an exit or to have better understanding for Kenyans as to the need to build a new airport, then we will make the right decision. The due process is such that Senate can oversight at any time, and you can call us at any time. And like you called us and called us again today, we'll provide the information. But members, let us make decision based on information. We've submitted the information today. I personally believe you need to further internalize with that information. Request for more information will submit. Give us information as you receive from the public that can help all of us to make the right decision. And I want to assure you, like has been canvassed here, we will do the right thing, we will follow the law, and we will submit to the directions of Parliament. But let us really not be that country who get investors down midway and say, Kenyans say, we don't like you. Let's really, because we are doing the due diligence and all the challenges and the fact that the process is not being employed, like I've said severally, to the understanding of Kenyans, provide that information to help us to make the right decision. I thank you, Chairman, and I think you are well guided. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think this brings us to the end of this session, but it's good to clarify that we had invited I'm missing his name every other minute, Christopher. Yeah, that is Christopher Kiregwa, who is the DG PPPs. And you know, we cannot wait for too long before giving this report. So having that in mind, he should appear before the committee the next sitting session, which is on Tuesday. Because for him, he has been invited before, so we do not have to give him the 7 days grace period that we give when we're inviting people. So for him, just to appear before this committee and meet this committee and answer a few questions. Then after that, we'll make a decision on when to invite the CS Treasury together with the PS Treasury. So members, any other business? So there being no other business, this sitting stands adjourned until Tuesday, 17th at 11 a.m. Thank you very much.
Senate hapa tuko sawa. Jasia. Unatusemia hapa. Hapa. So, Senator, so guys, Wesh. Okay, you'll be you'll be here. Then we start off this thing.
Yes.
So, Senator, we've been here actually. Even before we came here, we were at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. That was on Wednesday.
Yes.
And the scene was chaotic. Like there was so much trouble, and you could tell just by their face what exactly was happening. The passengers were really frustrated. So, will you be in position, Senator, kutuchoreta
many people, and I'm so proud of my senators in this house. We feel that this deal, whatever you want to discuss and talk about it, it's a bad deal. We are not against the government building an airport. We are not against the government doing any project. In fact, one of the things I've always told people is that if you want to decongest Nairobi, get a PPP program and put a ring around the city of Nairobi. You'll decongest the town. It's done over everywhere in Europe. But do it within the law. Do it correctly. We don't want to look like a banana republic. Kenya is a country that is very sensitive. The president can negotiate whatever he negotiates. If anybody, we are intelligent. If you look at a program and you see how the government has negotiated, you see that the workers' interests will be taken care of. You see that the sharing of the equity is going to be fair. You know that the debt which will incur will not overwhelm our country. Why would you be against that? We need an airport. But how can you negotiate for an airport, which is supposed to be costing close to $2 billion, and yet the person who's supposed to be running this airport in terms of value addition, which is KQ, you are not discussing it. Because that airport is completely useless unless you're building it for our people. And we don't want KQ to fail. We believe that KQ has deliberately been broken down, disorganized, mismanaged to fail so that people can buy it. And we are going to insist, we want the government to give us the real figures of KQ so that we can then talk to Kenyans and tell them that we are going to put money into KQ and KQ will get up. So what we are talking about has nothing. Like I've been seeing people say, like the CS was saying, oh, you know, you people don't have information. Here, the papers he gave me, everything is here. And it's a bad.
So you people are ahead of time.
We've been getting this information. What he presented to us is nothing different from what we have. This is what we've been saying.
But you only wanted him to have it so that you read together.
Exactly. So we have told him, and there is no single senator who left here who didn't tell him that this is a bad deal. Stop it. We want the government to stop the deal. Get your teams to sit down and forget about the corruption and the kickbacks which people are getting. Let the president get 2 or 3 people that he can trust. Let them do that proposal. Bring it to the Senate. Let's sit on it. Because this is our national interest. This is not a personal property where you're going to try and sell assets of the republic and look like you know it all. You know nothing. There are many more clever people in this republic. There are many more people who want this country to change. But we want to change it professionally, properly, within the law, so that everybody says that the people who are behind working and making sure that our country grows did it correctly. We don't want to have an Anglo-leasing. We don't want to have the Goldenberg scandal by Kamlesh Patni. We don't want those things. Kenyans are sick and tired of these corruption games which are going on. Thank you.
People have been having an issue with the parliament becoming like a rubber stamp.
Yes.
For the president.
Yes.
From the look of things and what you have discussed here, do you think your decision and what you have discussed here is going to be respected?
Absolutely. I will tell my colleagues. I'm going to tell my colleagues, both in the Senate and my colleagues who are the National Assembly, that
something's broken inside of me, and I need you. She manipulates people. You don't even see it.
You're losing touch with reality.
Leave my family alone!
Building your online business? Go to Wix.com and set up
of organizing themselves as that team. If they don't want to do that, they'll go home. Yes.
So Mahesh, I will tell you for sure, Kenyans are really appreciating who Senator Onyonga is.
Yes.
And they are saying you've done so much in trying to see like this country is working for the benefit of the common mwananchi, the Kenyan, that is the Wanjiko.
Yes.
Muhesh, going forward, what should we really expect from you as Senator Onyonga? Because I'll tell you for sure you've really fought for this thing.
My position is very simple. I am a senator. I was given a job to provide oversight to the government and the county governments. I have no agenda to be rich. I'm okay. I'm comfortable. I have no agenda to fight anybody. My feeling and honest observation is that I'll be speaking the truth to power. I'll be telling the president, his deputy, and other people playing politics with him. When something goes wrong, we'll tell them. And when something goes right, we'll congratulate them. What we are saying is democracy. This democracy we have, many people have tried to misinterpret it that you see, you only look that you are a good Democrat if you are cheering to the government and saying how they have done wonderful things. There's nothing. My job is to tell the government that everything is wrong. It's for the government to prove to me that everything they are doing is not wrong. And in reality, the sentiments that I raise and the question that I raise are not my personal views. These are the views of Kenyans who are out there who have nobody to talk about them. We must fix our national insurance. We must fix the transport sector. We must fix this damn corruption that has percolated our country to the extent that nothing works. And yet we are pretending like we have some sort of, we have a wonderful country that is doing wonderful things. No, we have done wonderful things until now. We are now discovering that everything we are touching is messed up. So can we fix the broken pieces so that this country can move on, where we don't have to have political wars and political noises which all of us have become brokers and dealers in the National Assembly and the Senate, where everybody is looking $2 billion for nothing. How can that be? So we have to start.
The president said that he's not a madman to sell the airport.
I don't want to judge him and I won't comment about it.
Amezungumza kwenye kikao hiki, tulianza mchakato mzima siku ya jana na kufikia sasa tunaweza tukasema kwamba mchakato huu wote mzima tutakuwa tunasubiria kuona haswa kilele chake kitakuwa ni kipi. Nikiripotia Mo Radio kutoka katika jumba la County Hall papa hapo katika majengo ya bunge jijini Nairobi, jina langu ni Ronnie Reagan. Kwa heri kwa sasa.